In this short video, I'm going to use the eaForms Builder to create a custom EA form. Before we start to create an EA form, it's important to understand the type of element to which it will apply and the contents for that form. I've listed these on this diagram. They include the element attributes name, author, notes, status, together with a couple of tagged values. Before starting to use eaForms, it's important to have the Manage eaForms design library available. This is an add-in extension window, so none are visible at the moment. So we go to extensions and we check the add-in window, at which point our Manage eaForms design library window appears. If it doesn't appear at that point, I would go to the eaForms extension menu and select Manage Form Definitions. Before creating an EA form, it's important to provide a work area for eaForms. It requires a package, and for this video I've got a view for video, and under this I'm going to create a package 1. I'll just call it 1. It's a working package, and I'll leave it selected so that when I return to the Manage eaForms design library and press new to create a new EA form, it is the selected package that eaForms will use. So I'll press OK as I'm happy with that. eaForms will then ask us for some information about the form we're about to create. I'm going to call it provide a name requirement form. It's one of the core elements. We have the option to use MDGs. As a core element, I go through the list and I select requirement. I'm going to let it apply to all stereotypes, and I'm going to put in some notes. We require that the notes field is completed, as it's useful to have some information for later reference. When I save this, eaForms will create the basic form definition, and if I select the entry, I get the working diagram that is eaForms is using under the hood, and on one of my other screens, and I'll pull it across, I get the what you see is what you get editor. This already has a label for the name field, and 2 buttons. We now want to add some other fields, so if I bring up the diagram that defines the contents, I'm going to place the labels on this form first. I right click and select the control I want to add in the label. We've got name, so we'll add author. So I right click again, add control label, we'll give it the word notes. As we create them, we can move them around, resize them as needed. Add control label status. I want to add comments, another label for comments, and another label for to be checked. So I've created all the labels. So let's put in the data fields. The author we're putting as a standard text field. We can select the item to be displayed is one of the standard element attributes, so I can select that from the top list. The notes, I right click, I add control rich text box. The element source for this is the element notes. Immediately you can see that the default size is much larger than the form, so I'll just change the default size for the moment. I'm going to move the status and to be checked down near the bottom, and these buttons down there. I'm actually going to put the comment side by side, although you can't see it because the labels automatically match the background. The width of those was larger than required, so I put comments up there. I'm now going to add another rich text box for my control. Now this is going to be set as a tagged value. I don't have a tag value defined, so I'm going to just type one into the field and save that. Now that I've got more space, I'm going to use the control select, that's control and left mouse button, to select the 2 rich text boxes, and then right click and use the sizing controls
to set same height and width. It uses the last selected item as the reference. I'm also select the boxes and use the align to align the tops. We now want to add the status, and I right click on the form area and I select a combo box. We're going to use the data source is the status from the element attribute, and the list will be the standard reference data status. It details the list of entries that are available, and this can be edited. So I'm going to remove approved on the basis that this form will be used by people who cannot approve the requirement, and I'll set the default as a proposed. So that's saved, and there we are. Once again, our label's a bit too large, so we move it. I'll put that under there and I'll line up the labels. The last item we've got on is to be checked, and we're going to add this in as a checkbox. This isn't a standard attribute, so we just type in the tag value that we want it to be used, and by default we will say it wants to be checked. That label's a little too large. So I'm now going to select the labels, holding the control key down and the left mouse button, and then right click to get the context and align left. I'm going to do the same for these fields. And I'm going to align left using the, and finally I'm going to drag the save and cancel button onto the right hand side and resize the form. So we now have our form. I can then save it, and if I want to use the runtime generator, I can press the view, and the runtime generator gives us the same form as it would appear at runtime. We use placeholders for some of the components because of some of the underlying complexities. This is what it will look like at runtime. Immediately see the comments is in the wrong place. I need to move it across, so I just drag that across there. Notice that the label overruns, line it up and view it again, and here we are, that's moved. So that's fine. I can now go back to the project browser, and in this model I've provided a few requirements in a diagram. If I now select one of those by double clicking, I get the form that we've just produced, and I can set the various values, view notes and text for comment, and save those. So there we have it. We've created an EA form using the new form builder. So in conclusion, if you want more information, do check out our website at trial.exploringea.co.uk. Thank you.